Welcome to the Uncivil Mentality Podcast. I'm Erik Vidal.
And I'm Reilly Kilbride.
Let's go. Let's go. The man, the myth.
Matt, what's going on, man? I'm Reilly. Nice to meet you, brother.
Nice to meet you, Reilly. I apologize. I got to do this from my truck.
Absolutely. I know we're keeping
Busy
it real.
day.
We keep it real out here, man.
That's right. That's right.
Cool, man. We'll just get it rolling if that's cool with you.
Yeah.
We always usually like start with an intro, maybe your name, where you're from, what do you do, all things Matt.
Okay. Yeah. So, 20-year veteran in the fire service. I've been with Orlando for 16 years of that. My name is Matt Magee. Married, have 4 kids. 42 years old. And yeah, love this job, lieutenant in Orlando.
Absolutely.
So I love how you smirked when you said your age.
Just a number, man.
Yeah, it's a number, my dude. I know. That's what I tell people, and they don't believe me.
It's guys like y'all that are pushing the limits of like, I know this sounds like an asshole statement, but like you guys are pushing the limits of what people think is possible. Like you guys are older guys. I mean, there's no room around that, but you guys are still pushing the envelope.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're putting a lot of pressure on older guys. Like I'm a younger guy, so y'all are putting pressure on some guys out there in the fire service to be like, well, shit, if these guys are out here still killing it, I should be able to as well,
Yeah, definitely. That's good.
Well, what's the alternative, What would you have me do? What would you have us do? Or, yeah.
Well, first of all, Matt, super grateful to have you on. You don't do a lot of these. Like you don't see you out and about, and so we're super blessed to have you on. But let's talk about that. Are you a big social media guy? Do you like to just stay low key? If people know who you are, they know who you are. But
yeah, so yeah, I'm not a real flashy guy. I don't really do a lot of posts or anything. I do post about the real estate stuff just because that's the second career that I'm working towards after I retire from the fire service. So I'm slowly building that up. So I do post on that stuff. But as far as like fire stuff goes, I really keep it. I've got a circle, and it gets wider, but I don't ever like get out there and boast about it or, do those types of things. I'd rather just if somebody's interested in knowing my story, then they reach out to me and, start a friendship that way.
Yeah. Well,
yeah. So how'd you make your way into the fire service?
So, back in 2003, it's getting ready I did 4 years in the junior RTC in high school and Marine Corps, and I was going to go into the Marine Corps. And my grandmother gave me the money to go to fire school. I'd always wanted to do fire school, but I couldn't afford it. It was like $6,000 back then to rent the gear and get the books and go to school, and I couldn't afford it. And she said, "I'll give you the money if you don't go in the Marine Corps and you join the fire service." So I did, and that's where my career started with Osceola County Fire Rescue. Was there for about 4.5 years. I was up next to get promoted to engineer and started over in Orlando. And like I said, I've been there about 16 and a half, almost 17 years.
What prompted the switch, if you don't mind us asking?
So Orlando is always kind of known for their SOPs and kind of being, say, like the big leagues, because that's not accurate. But it definitely was a different atmosphere in Orlando, the big city, department. Osceola County, I got some great experience out there. My crew was second to none out there, and really they prepared me for what I was about to experience in Orlando, and it definitely has been a huge change in my life, and brought me to another level, I would say.
On that topic, as of recently, you're a mentor of mine, right? Any mentors that you would like to give grace or shed light on that assist you along the way?
Yeah, so I'll say Basil. was probably one of the first people that really pushed me to find another level for myself. And he found the Florida smoke diver program back in 2015. He found a flyer and sent it to me and was like, we have to do this. At that point, I mean, I used to push myself and do my workouts but I never knew exactly what it took to pass something like that, or that there was a level that I could even get to, to get to achieve something like that. So I would say Basil was the one that pushed me to really um, get out there and find my limits.
So you found, when did you actually attend Florida for the first time?
First time was 2015. Yep,
How'd that
and
go?
not good.
Kind of give us your
uh,
history now that we've opened the door with the programs, with the different
yeah,
programs you've been to.
yeah.
Tell us a little bit about Florida, and then tell us a little bit about Georgia, and kind of
in
your
Indiana,
points.
and takeaways from those different types of programs.
Yeah, so Florida was the first time I went. My body was physically prepared. My mind was physically prepared. I got sick the first day I was there. By the end of the second day, I lost like 14 pounds. I couldn't keep anything down, and it wasn't like a nerves thing or anything. I was legit, like I had some stomach virus. And by the third day, we had an evolution um, where, um, without going into specifics of it, um, it it got to the point where I was so overheated, I had a heat stroke. They pulled me out of the evolution. I had 107.8 temperature. Took me to the hospital. I woke up in the hospital. Um, got out of there, and you know, it shocked me, man. Shocked me to the core. And I thought I couldn't achieve something like that. That it was just out of my reach. I wasn't physically ready for something like that. And then like Logan talked about in the last podcast with you guys, like you get home and it's like, nah, I'm going back, you know. And I trained for it the next year, and got all the way to like the fourth day and failed out on an evolution. Just ran out of air in one of the evolutions, and so had to regroup again. And then by the third time, there wasn't anything that was going to hold me back. And then after that, I was looking for more experiences, something to push me again. And that's just the kind of guy I am. I always have to have something that I'm like, striving towards. And Georgia came on the radar. Um, just knowing the history between Florida's considered the OG program. It's the first one to start, and then um, Cortez Lawrence started the Georgia program following that. Um, so I wanted to do both of the OG programs, complete those, but I tried like 4 or 5 times to get into Georgia, and just never was able to get in. Was never accepted into the test process. So I tried for Indiana, got into Indiana, and let me tell you, that was a true test too. Mainly because of the cold.
Yeah, I've
Being a
seen
Florida
pictures of
boy,
that of it snowing. That's fucking crazy.
bro, and it was legit snow. Like we're running in snow, and we literally wore our sweatpants and sweatshirt underneath our gear the entire week. That's how cold it was. Um, but that was a new level that was that cold um, that I had never experienced before. You know, so um, when I got done with that class, I kept trying for Georgia. I think it was two more times, and I finally got into Georgia, and went with Logan and Basil for that class. And we all three of us passed, and it was a great experience.
You were exactly where you're supposed to be among
That's right.
those individuals. So
No, I
imagine if
appreciate
you would have gotten the first time, you wouldn't have had the opportunity to be with Logan or Basil. So, I
it.
mean,
Yeah.
so takeaways from the program, because I'm asked often, oh, what did you learn? Search. We're searching
Yeah.
everything, bro. We search and search and
Yep.
we
Yep.
search everywhere, every time.
Yep.
That's it. That's all you got. Yeah, pretty much we're searching, bro. So, I
Yeah.
mean, that's
Yeah.
just my
That's
experience. Apart from the test, right? Apart from the physicality of it, apart from the PT, or did you prepare enough to show up prepared and all that? But what did you take away from three different programs?
so really for me, like the skills were not so much basic, but it was clearly defined what your goal was for that evolution. They didn't hide anything. It was this is what you need to do. Attention to detail, follow the directions, and you'll pass. You'll pass this evolution. If you don't, we'll give you another shot. Yeah, there's going to be some stipulations and how you reattempt it, but you're going to get another shot. Um, but I would say that the physicality part of it was was the hardest thing for me. I'm not a runner. We don't have a lot of hills in Florida, so training for Georgia was difficult because of all the running up and down the hills. And so I found a parking garage near me, and I would sprint up the 5-story parking garage, do wind sprints up them for about an hour, a day, just to train for that hill run. You know, um, then I would say like once you get past the PT portion in the morning, really it's about keeping your calories up, keeping yourself hydrated, taking care of your body, making sure you eat good the night before, and just paying attention to the details. And that's really what those classes kind of instill in you. I feel like is that it really gives you kind of opens your eyes to the fact that there there's a lot of details that a lot of people miss. And when other people's lives are at stake, or your crew, even those details matter. And that really those classes put the emphasis on that attention to detail, and I feel like that's really important.
So
And
you
how
talked a lot
adaptable are
about,
you? And
oh,
how adaptable are you to your surroundings and
Yeah,
to the task at hand?
absolutely. Absolutely. And
Adaptability.
the problems that arise,
Yeah,
exactly.
problem
'Cause
solving under
yep,
duress, right? Which
yep.
is what I encountered. So I said jokingly in the beginning it was all about search, but honestly, it's like it's more than that. Um, so yeah, thank you for shedding light on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
you talked a lot about how you, well, we'll talk a little bit more about physical prep, but you talked about how you had to prepare your mind. Go into a little bit more detail of how you prepared your mind for that, for all three programs.
So once I passed Florida, I was kind of already in that mental state, of there wasn't anything that was going to stop me. Um, so, I don't know if I had more of a benefit because of that, going through a program already and going into those other programs. Um, I kind of feel like maybe it gave me an edge, but they're Florida and Georgia, Indiana, they're different animals. The goal is the same, as far as what you get out of it. But the physical side of it's different. The sleep deprivation sides are different. The learning portions are different. Um, and yeah, that's really, I would say that's probably the biggest thing that I got out of those classes.
So,
Matt, to our listeners and viewers, this is the man behind the Magee
yeah.
workout, the 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, up downs, push-ups, 4 count mountain climbers, 4 count jumping jacks. Where did that happen? When was that created? How did that come about? Did someone name it in honor of you? Did you create the workout? I mean,
Yeah,
what's the
yeah.
story behind
So
that?
People want to know this. People want to know
I want
this.
shit. I want to know
Yeah.
because
so when I was training for Indiana, I started researching how can I train for their PT. Um, and those 4 basic movements kept coming up in conversation as far as the PT for the class. And there's actually more to it, as you know, than just those 4 basic movements in the PT portion. But I took those movements and I said, okay, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna do a circuit, then I'm gonna do this gear workout, the McGee, you know, and then I'm gonna go for
Don't air
that.
quote. Don't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We get it, bro. You're humble with
We're
all
past that.
humility.
Keep going.
Yeah.
So and then I'm gonna go for that 3-4 mile run as quick as I can. So what can I do as far as the workout goes to really push myself to the point where I'll reach a goal, get my 30 minutes in gear, and then I'm going to try and get 20 minutes in gear, try and get it to the point where when I get there, there isn't anything that they could throw at me that was going to phase me. There was no doubt in my mind that I was ready. And that's really the goal of getting ready for a class like this is getting yourself to the point where there's no doubt that you're going to pass PT every morning and that you'll be completely fine. When you go do classes like this and you have doubts in your mind because you haven't prepared to the point where you've eliminated all those doubts, there is a luck side to it already. So you're really increasing the odds of luck by not eliminating those doubts.
Right.
Um,
Preparation builds confidence.
absolutely.
That's the foundation. Correct.
Have you
Yep.
seen these crazy people that have like twisted McGee now? They're like double McGee, triple McGee, one-handed McGee. I'm like, dude, how many times can you fucking make this workout even harder? Like,
And
honestly,
that
like it's the best warm. Like if I'm trying to get warm, like a microwave warm up, I'll do it slick. If I'm trying to, do it difficult, I'll throw all my gear on. It's like it can be
It's
served as the appetizer, the entree, or the dessert. So
it's
it's a
still
great
my
workout.
go-to. It's still my go-to. It's really like a great equalizer. And when I get new guys on the crew, we'll do that workout too, just to kind of see where they're at with continuing to push themselves and not stopping and taking a breath. Like in order to reach a certain time limit, there's literally no time to stop. Like you have to be the same pace the entire time to reach that goal. And that's the point of it is to keep building yourself, building your mental resilience to get you know uh, better and better at it. And the person that coined it, the McGee, is Christopher Snow. Um, I'm sure you're familiar with him. But he asked me one time, what's a workout that I can put out there that's going to be tough for people to attempt to do, and I gave him that workout, and that's how he coined it. But
That's the gauntlet, brother. It's the gauntlet.
well, it's a
I
baseline.
don't think
It's a
there's
gauge.
not there's very few like firefighter workouts there. There's a couple like Hot Shots 19, but then the next one is McGee. Like for me, this is the next like firefighter workout. One of
yeah,
my best friends, Colin, we like to work out together on shift. And one day I was like, all right, dude, let's send it. Like let's do a McGee. And he maybe had a little energy drink beforehand, and quickly that energy drink came out of
not
his
good.
body. He
Yep.
was like, "Hey man, tell McGee that he's the reason why there's a throw up in the bushes at the station." So he wanted me to tell you that.
Okay.
But
Okay.
Yeah.
it's always a good workout, man. And
Yeah.
there's not too many of them, so hell yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm
So
glad you guys enjoyed it.
what?
Well,
So you talked about earning that confidence. Other than the McGee workout, like what things really, was it more of you testing your mind or testing your body?
So to go back to Florida the first time, 2015, I had a pretty bad divorce before that. And at one point I was at my lowest that I ever been in my life. And I, one day I was laying on the couch and I looked over and I saw pizza boxes and beer cans building up. And I was like, excuse my language, but fuck this. You know, like this is not who I'm gonna ultimately end up being. And at some point you gotta get up, wipe the mud off your face and move forward, right? And that was like the turning point for me. Um, and what I found in myself through training for those classes was that I was a lot stronger. My mind was a lot tougher than I thought it ever was. Um, you know, there is a lot of the higher suicide rate these days. I think a lot of that can be alleviated through getting through stuff like this, getting through courses like this, dedicating yourself to training for something like this, giving yourself a goal this big, even if you don't pass, just training for something like this. And there's people out there that they don't want to be smoke divers, but they're studs. They're complete studs, and that's fine. For guys like me, like I need a goal. I need something to shoot for. And at that point, that I was at a point there where it it got me to another level, and it made me realize that everything I experienced was for a reason, and I'm a lot tougher than I thought I was. But these classes get you to a point where when those issues arise, now like I smirk, I smile at them. It makes me say, okay, game on, let's go.
Yeah.
What you got? You know, um, and I know my resilience is so high now that you will literally have to kill me before I will stop. And I'm not just talking about like on the fire ground. I'm talking about everything in life. Um, Hard times hit financially, um, hard times hit with a deal I'm working on, or it's like, all right, let's figure this out,
Mm.
you know? And for, I say all that to say that that's what those classes got me to. That's the point they got me to.
So you said you have 4 kids, boys, girls?
I got an 18-year-old son, a 14-year-old daughter, 6-year-old son, and a 3-year-old son.
What do they say about all the classes, or like, do they love that you're a fireman? Like, what's that life like?
So they know I'm a fireman. My 6-year-old has memorized the Georgia Creed. Uh, so
That's
he can say it by heart.
that's
Um, I can still say it to this day.
Yeah,
It's funny.
yeah.
Um,
But that
but
statement is powerful, man. If you read
it
that
Yeah.
really
from like
is.
No, if I persist, if
objective,
I
just
continue to try, if I continue to charge forward, I will succeed. That's it. I
yeah.
mean, just my but hold on, I didn't mean to cut you off. My favorite part was what was it? I will make one more attempt to close with victory. I will resist the temptation to depart. I will
Yeah,
resist the temptation to depart. That has to be my favorite line out of the whole
yeah,
creed.
yeah. I mean, it's
I'm
powerful. It really is. And those words, as I'm working out, like I'll challenge myself to say it when I'm at my absolute, you know, dead end. I've gotten past my 40% left in the fuel tank. I'm at, 5% left. I'll force myself to say that creed. And the power in those words it's unchallenged. I mean, it definitely is something that I use daily. I really do.
I made my wife read it, and she was like, "Wow, dude, this is powerful. Like, I
Yeah.
kind of want to run through a wall right now." It's like, dude, this is powerful. Who wrote it? Who do you know who wrote
I
the creed?
think from what I understand, it was like it was a conjunction of a bunch of different people putting the pieces together. That's what I understand. I'm not 100% on that, but I'm pretty sure that's the story that was told to me on the history of it.
Okay, so older boys, and then any girls in the house?
Yeah.
Yeah, my daughter's 14.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah, and
H-
of
How
course
do
my
you
wife.
how do you handle how do you handle it all?
As far as like family life, and
Hmm.
so I get asked that question often, by people that reach out to me, and I know Logan talked about it too. It's if it's something that you want bad enough, you'll find time for it. And for me, it's 3:30 in the morning, getting out and doing my workouts before the family's up, so that when they're awake, I'm not taking away from their time. You know, um, or it's while I'm on shift, I'll get 2, 3, 4 workouts in the shift. Just because the other days I'm so busy with my second career, I'm in family life, that I won't have time to do that many. So I'll get up early, do my workout, and then the rest is family time for, my second career.
So I just went on my
Oh,
first shift of dropping my first shift back after having my son. So 2 days ago, I went back to work for the first time, and I was driving home
Congrats,
excited.
man.
Yeah, I was driving home excited to see my son, and that was like the first time I experienced that feeling. and I've
Yeah.
never. I mean, I love my wife, but the rush at which I was trying to get home to my
Yeah.
family was like a weird feeling to me. So yeah,
Yeah,
four seems extreme.
it's funny. People say like you never know until you have kids. It's the best thing that's ever happened. And you think, oh yeah, she just say that because you got kids. But it really is, you know what I mean? Like it's for me, it's an undeniable um aspect of my daily schedule. You know, that they're number one and then everything else comes second.
We just have a lot of dads that listen to this podcast, man, and like I always
Yeah.
ask because that is our demographic, man. We have people that have families, and you're right, man. If you want it, you'll make time for it.
You make time for it. And excuses suck. I always say that. Your excuses suck, you know, because there is a way around it. You just got to find it.
Especially when you say them out loud. So, okay, you have an excuse in your mind, but okay, say it out loud. Well, that's a dumb excuse. That sounds dumb, saying it
Yeah.
out loud. I'm not gonna say that anymore. Matt,
Yeah.
where can people find you in regards to like, okay, I just moved into Orlando. I'm shopping around for a house. Give people details where they can find you.
Yeah. Yeah. If anybody's ever in Orlando, hit me up. If you want to come by the station and do a workout with us, more than
Don't
welcome to
tell
do
me with a
that.
good
Come on.
time.
Hey, come on, man. Come on with it.
I've got a whole like East Coast tour that we're gonna just go
Okay.
on and hit every fire station on the way in. We've built quite a net with this podcast, so
Yeah.
people are gonna out there trying to hold us accountable and get our asses in there for some
Yeah, man.
workouts.
Come out. Yeah. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. Look me up. I, I'm always willing to help people. Um, you know, if you got aspirations to train for smoke diver, if you put time in to do it, I'll put time into you. That's what I always say. You know, um, I don't get so many people that I have to like charge for my time. You know, like there's some nothing against it. Like I've said on other podcasts, I think anybody that has to put a lot of time into a lot of people should charge for it. Um, but if you got aspirations to train for it, I'll send you my program, what I used to train for it. It's about 6 months out. You have to start training about 6 months out for something like this. Um, and yeah, I'll send it to you. No problem.
Cool, man. What's a new skill you're working on currently?
New skill I'm working on currently,
It
being a
could
good
be
leader,
in
man.
it
Being a
could
good
be in the
leader.
being a leader.
Yeah, so I got promoted to lieutenant, and was just given the lieutenant seat on Tower One. Um, and that is a specialized unit that does high angle structural collapse, confined space, dive, everything, BMR. So we are everything. So um, my two senior firemen just got promoted, so I've got a back seat with I think 2 or 3 years. It's like their max number of years on. So on in Orlando. So we've got a lot of training to do, and learning to be a leader that way is it's challenging.
Man,
Brand new
what would you
back seat like that.
what would you say your leadership style is?
I would say I've got my I've got my set ways. Um, I always tell my guys, always be one step ahead of me, and you'll never have a problem. If I'm putting on my pants, you're putting on your pants and your coat. That's the mentality. And what that gets us to is they start thinking ahead of everything that I'm gonna do. And that's really what I want, is I want them to be one step ahead of me. Um, I don't ridicule. I don't, you know, if you're gonna make a mistake, we're gonna learn from it, right?
Mhm.
So there's a lot of leaders out there that go the other way with that. I think that it fights the ability to learn from the lesson. So that's the approach I take with that.
Do you
So
think
lead by example, you would say?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
if
see
they're
that.
if they're in gear too, if
Yeah,
that's the other thing, if they're in
yeah,
gear, I'm in.
I'm in gear, exactly.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they're gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. So
do you think your guys are kind of intimidated to work with you? Like, I mean, they probably know who you are.
well, yeah, yeah. Well, I
I
mean,
mean, some people would love to sit in that to ride backwards on that truck, and some people would be intimidated to ride backwards on that truck, to be honest.
No, I think once you get to know me, that all that kind of goes away. You know, once you get to work with me and know me, it's um I get it. Because I have the same thoughts about other people, my mentors, my people that I look up to, you know, but once you get to know them and work with them, all that goes away. You know.
You guys ride four?
Yeah. Yeah, we got five assigned. We'll have five assigned, but we ride four.
What's a normal like call volume day look like for you guys?
For our unit, well, we're always training every morning. We have a set schedule, Monday through Sunday. You know, Monday's a certain thing we're going to train on, Tuesday's a certain thing. So every day has whatever day we're working that week, that's what we're doing. Um, and then I give them a couple hours lunchtime, and then they have a little bit of time in between, catch up on emails, target solutions, you know, all that good stuff. And then we got our group workouts in the afternoon. Um, and then yeah, that's pretty much it. We always cook dinner from on the tower truck because the other units are busy. So we're running calls in between, but I would say I don't know, 10 to 12, maybe 15 calls.
Yeah, that's fair. It's a specialized unit, so
Yeah.
Correct.
yeah, just keep that in mind.
But we still run all the EMS calls too,
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah,
and fire alarms and
sure. And you could grab a call from the engine or the rescue or
right,
whatnot. You
exactly.
could jump
Yep.
calls if you wish to.
Yep.
Eric and I always say the best day at the firehouse is like good training, a good workout, and a good meal. Like those are
Yeah.
the if you got those three things in your day, it's the best
It's a
job
good day.
on in the world, dude.
It's
It
a
is
good day.
great.
Yep. I agree.
Have you ever taken it too far down the wormhole on shift and be like, "Oh shit, I've completely exhausted myself and I am in deep shit."
Yeah, well, I've done it to my crew. And I got a little bit of pushback recently, actually. It's funny you mention that. Because you know, it's my thing is and Logan talked about this, I think, with you guys. I've listened to so many of his podcasts, I can't remember which one he talked about it on, but the stacking on the suffering.
Mhm.
That's for me, that leads to resiliency. And um I try and get my guys to the point where I can tell that they're at a limit, and then I back off for that day. And then the next time I go a little bit further and I back off. Well, a few shifts ago, I went a little bit above and beyond on a
It
workout,
happens.
and we you know had an understanding that if they're gonna dive for our training for that day, where they're in dry suits for a couple hours,
Mm.
that the workout will be slick for the afternoon, you know, so that they can kind of save their bodies for their hydration and all that stuff for, you know, whatever we are going to experience the rest of the shift.
I've
But
been
the workouts are non-negotiable for me. We're working out in the afternoon for at least an hour. I don't care. I don't care if you want to do weights today, but my thing is I'm going to be training in gear. If you're going to go do something else for an hour, that's fine. But don't don't let me get on a fire scene with you and you can't keep up with me because it was back in bias day. Okay. Like that's my thing. So it's a non-negotiable. You're gonna work out, but you know, you know your body, you're a man, you make the call.
I've been on a
Um
couple EMS calls before, and I think the patient looked at me and said, "Are you okay?"
Yeah,
Because I'm like coming off of a workout,
100%.
sweating, like my
Well,
shirt's
yeah,
wet. They're like,
oh
"Are
yeah,
you okay?"
yeah,
I'm like, "Yeah, I'm
yeah,
great. I'm good."
yeah. I'm fine.
yeah. I
I'm
definitely
Get
sweating
off
we're
doing
me,
the
there.
mom.
patient report,
What
like
are you, my
writing stuff
mom? Get
down.
off me. But
Yeah. We're there
but
more times than not in the afternoons. That's what we look like when we show up on calls.
um,
So a question I have for you, McGee, is with so many, accolades that you've accomplished and through your whole career, do you ever deal with self-doubt? Was there ever any time you talked
Oh
about it a
yeah.
little bit when you were sitting on the couch with the pizzas and the beers, but through each one of these steps, did you ever feel like, man, I'm not good enough, or I'm an imposter?
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, and mainly it was those first three attempts with Florida. The first and the second one really, you know, got me to the point where I had to decide I can go down the path of, oh, yeah, I tried, never could have, never could complete it, you know? or keep going like Logan did. Logan's still trying, and he's gonna make it. This year's his year.
Hell
I'm
yeah.
sure of it.
We're
Um,
cheering for him for sure.
yeah, he's gonna do it this year. But yeah, that's what I would say is like that was it got to a point where I had to make that decision, which path I'm gonna go with this. And my decision was I'm not looking back. I don't want the old me. I don't want the guy that sat there and laid on the couch with mud on his face because of what happened. You know, like like I said, like that. Let's
Yeah.
go. Let's go.
Yeah. You've been there. You don't want to go
Yep.
back to that. You don't want to resort to that. It's not indicative
Yep.
of who you
I
are and who you
never
want to be.
I never will.
Oh, here's
No.
my next. What's next? Like that's always asked these guys that always move the goalpost. Eric, be another one of these guys. Is that
Yeah.
okay? What's on the agenda for this coming year or 2025? Anything crazy?
Nothing crazy. I thought about getting into doing like Ironman stuff. But I'm
Hell yeah.
not I'm not a swimmer, I'm not a biker, I'm not a runner. So that's gonna take some major focus. I'm taking Basil's one bad tour class. My
Hell yeah.
fireman, he got sick when he went through about a year ago, and he hasn't been back yet. So I want him to defeat that because he needs that for his mind. He needs to have that defeat in his mind because right now I don't think it's defeating him, but it's lingering there. So I told him I would go with him if he trained for it. So we're gonna go. Um, but other than that, I'm constantly moving the goalpost on myself. So
I think that's what
so
kind of guys we are, man. There's never a
yep.
finish line. So my
No.
buddy just did a pretty, it wasn't a full Ironman, but it was pretty dang close. And
Yeah.
he was telling me that the training for those long endurance events is just so grueling.
Yeah.
Um, he said, but he said something that was very, like, I thought about it afterwards. He's like, the training that you did, that he did, looking back now, the training was harder than the test.
Hmm.
Like, he said he can look at workouts that he did, like in the pool or on the bike or running or a combination of all three. He said, look, I look back at those training days and those training logs, and I'm like, that was harder than the actual test.
That's
Do
what
you
you want to do.
feel, do you feel like your training was ever harder than the things that you
Absolutely.
finished?
Absolutely was. Yep. And that was the only way to go there without any doubt in my mind
Mm,
was to push myself to the point where I knew no matter what they threw at me, I was going to be okay.
I like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, if there is a, 1600-meter swim, we're going 3200,
Mm, yeah.
to the point where, hey, I know I can pass that. I know I can get to 3200 meters. 1600 is nothing now.
Mhm.
Right.
That makes sense. Do
Yeah.
you
The more you
just,
sweat in training, the less you bleed in war.
That's right.
Yeah.
it,
Yep.
was there like slow progressions of that, or were you just like, if I know I have to do 16, then today I'm doing 32, or like I know I'm gonna have to do the big four movements. I'm gonna do 1,000 of them, so I know that McGee isn't like the workout isn't gonna harm me.
It's a slow build up, and it's
Okay.
just like I do with my guys. Like I slowly build them up, constantly pushing them a little bit further. So if it was 1600 meters, just for example, then we're going to do 1800
Mhm.
the next time.
Okay.
All right, guys, it's 2000 this time. And once they get to 2000, once they get to the two levels up, I might double it on them.
Mhm.
Okay, we got 2400 today, guys.
Mhm.
You know, and what that does, man, is it's a shock to the system, number one. But if it's a slow, steady progress, but um, it's always a win.
Mhm.
When you start stacking on losses, that's where you start doubting yourself, and I don't want that for them. So my goal is to always give them wins at the end, even if they failed at it. We're gonna finish till you finish, or we're gonna keep going until you finish.
Mhm.
So to me, that's a win.
So you mentioned Logan. Logan had recently gave you credit for stacking the suffering. Just stack the suffering. Because the first time I heard that, I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. Like I resonate with that. Logan, where'd you hear from? Oh, my buddy, my mentor, Matt Magee. Like, yo, I gotta know this man. Like, who the hell is this dude? So where did you hear that phrase? How that phrase come about?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't know if I heard it from somewhere
Right.
or what, but it stuck with me that once I started doing it, that stacking it on became stacking the suffering.
Mm.
And for me, what that meant was the more I suffered throughout my day, the more it didn't matter what it was that was next,
Yeah.
and
Can't
like I
smoke a
was
rock.
right. Yeah, exactly.
Can't
Exactly.
smoke a
So like
rock. Yeah.
so if I was doing a morning workout where I was doing the gear circuit, then that 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, then the run, then mid-morning I was doing a CrossFit workout, then the afternoon I was doing a gear circuit, then in the evening I was out there rowing, 10,000 meters in full gear. Like those are the things that I did and got to the point where it would get to, I was on a busy unit then. So I'd get to like, 5,500 meters and I'd get a call. And the last thing I want to do at 11 o'clock at night is come back and put my gear on
Mm.
and be out there in the back of the bay by myself staring at a street light rowing.
Mm.
But I did it, and over time it got to the point where, like I said, it just keeps stacking on to the point where it doesn't even matter what they throw at you.
What was your body feeling like those days? How did you recover? How did you eat? Like, because I hear the training volume and my body starts to hurt. I can feel what that fatigue in that
It's
body would
no factor,
really.
no factor.
Did you eat well?
Doesn't
Like,
matter.
did you eat everything underneath the sun? Like,
No, nope.
hell
And
yeah.
actually, I would go in a calorie deficit on purpose
Mm.
because I knew that I was going to be in those situations where I would be at a calorie deficit. So I wanted to know how I felt, how my body reacted as I kept pushing and still could recover.
Like cramps, no cramps or anything like that?
I will say this: the first time I've ever cramped was Indiana.
Mm.
And one thing that they gave us was cranberry juice, 100% not from concentrate cranberry juice, like a 1 to 4 concentration of that in water. And that was the only thing that relieved my cramps.
Mm.
So I constantly use that still, and I recommend it to everybody. I called it magic juice. I don't know what they call it, but I called
Ev-
it magic juice.
Everyone that's
Uh,
listening to this is buying 7 things of cranberry juice right now. I'm gonna be honest
I'm
with you,
telling you,
cranberry stock's gonna go through the roof.
it works. But and I can remember times when I was sick. I was homesick from shift. I had called out a day and I wanted to know that I could get through the 4 workouts that day being sick. Like so I would go out, I can't even breathe through my nose. I'm like spit everywhere, snot everywhere, but I'm getting through the workouts regardless of what my condition is. And, like we can all make excuses, right? We can all say that, oh, but I'm sick, I gotta rest. My body needs to recover. Does it? Does it really? Like, is it just an excuse? Or can you push past this and find out like, hey, how much can I do
Hmm.
sick? How far can I go sick? Because
Yeah.
if your livelihood depends on it, if your family's livelihood depends on it, how far can you go? Oh, I
Right.
can't I can't can't get out of bed and fight this intruder coming into my house, because I'm sick. You know, it's a weak mentality.
I'm downloading this to like my mainframe of my existence. My wife is gonna fucking hate it. She's she's gonna be like,
Well,
"Oh my
but that you got to remember too that I do all this stuff, when I'm not on shift. All
God."
that is like before they even wake up.
Yep.
It doesn't mean when I'm on shift, it's 4 times a day, 3, 4 times a day. But when I'm off shift, I get it all done in the morning. This lifestyle is not something that you have to do every single day, 4 workouts a day. That's not it's just not sustainable,
Mm.
you know.
But if you have the goal,
When
then
you're
you got to do it.
right, if you're close to that goal of going to smoke diver, yeah, that's what you got to do.
Mm.
And you got to come to an understanding with your family. And I try and tell people that are going through this, like when you go to smoke diver, if you haven't set that groundwork with your wife that this was a goal in the last 2 months, you got to really buckle down. But after that 2 months, after you pass the class, this is what the schedule is going to be like. You don't want to go to smoke diver with things not being good at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very, very important thing. So when I try and help people prepare for this, I also tell them, like, this is when you should be doing your workouts. This is just my opinion, but do it early in the morning before your family wakes up. And then as we get closer, just let them know. You got to sit them down and talk to them like, hey, I'm honing in on this goal. We're almost there. The finish line's right there, but I got to start stepping it up on my days off. I need the early morning, which they're still sleeping usually, right? So you got a baby, so it's a
Yeah,
little
that little
different.
fucker's up all night, all hours of
It's
the night.
it's a little different, because you got to help mom out too, throughout the night. Um, and then lunchtime while the kids are napping or whatever, kids are at school. I'm gonna go hit a quick ruck, 3 mile ruck, and then in the evening when everybody goes to sleep. When I was training for smoke diver, my days off. I was out there at 11 o'clock at night after everybody went to bed in my driveway doing that workout. That's the type of thing that you can make a schedule. You can fight the excuses.
Mhm. I love that, man.
Got it.
We usually try to end these with like a quote or a mantra, but I just feel like this episode was just full of all of that wisdom, man. But if you had like any parting words for the people listening, what would it be? I don't know if you can top what you've already dropped the mic on them, but one
Well,
more thing that
in your training
go ahead.
sessions, that internal voice, that internal monologue, give us a preview if you wish to. What does that sound like? What's something what is something that is your go-to like phrase or like, you know, uh, you just show up, don't quit, like look in the mirror, am I the person I say I am? These are the things that run through my head. How grateful are we? Look, how blessed am I? Like these are the things I say to myself when I'm training. Is there
Yeah.
anything similar?
Yeah, all those thoughts go through my head, but I think I do think about that Georgia smoke diver creed a lot. But I was talking to Preston Lyons from the Relentless Rejects podcast a while ago. Um, and I had heard a long time ago a TED talk, and she talks about the 5 second rule. And basically what that is, I can't remember her name. It's just some doctor. But she said that if when you have something you want to do, give yourself 5 seconds to make movement towards it. So when I'm training, when I'm doing anything in life, when I decide right now that all right, I just got done doing my round of 50, I'm tired. I don't want to start 40, the round of 40. 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I go. Um, for a lot of things in my life, even outside of the fire service, I use that, and it propels me towards movement. Movement is key in so many things in life, in my opinion. When you start staying stagnant or you have idle hands, that's when the doubts, the laziness, all that creeps in. So that's one way that I fight that. But I would say that that's 99% of the things that are going through my mind
Give
when I'm
yourself five
working out
seconds,
is
man.
give myself 5 seconds, move, 5 seconds, move. And a lot of times it's 3 seconds because I don't want to be a biatch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
I read something somewhere. It says something along the lines of pain and movement are directly related. As long as you're moving, the pain is minimal. It's when you stop moving that the pain intensifies, and it comes
Nice.
and you feel like a rush. Boom.
yep,
But as long
yep.
as you're moving, pain and movement are related. They have this relationship in where like, oh, I could keep on moving, I'm good, I'm good. But when you stop moving,
There's
man, when you're stagnant,
That's when you think about it.
in the spoken word, well, I forget his first name, but Wright, he was a former Navy SEAL. He talks about the spoken word. You ever heard of "Don't die in the chair"? Have you
Chad,
heard of
right?
that? Chad Wright. That's it.
Yeah.
Yep. Um, that that is something that I preach heavily to my crew. Like when we're working out, I don't want to hear you over there moaning and like nobody cares. Stop moaning that you're tired and that yeah, we're all tired. But the second you start saying like uh just when I thought it was over, or those types of things, or I'm done, that that puts action into the world, into your world, and the people around you. So my thing is when we're working out or we're doing anything, don't be the one that's being negative about the current situation. If anything, you're encouraging people to keep pushing, push harder. Good job, dude.
Yeah.
But don't be the one that's standing there saying, God, just when I thought it was over.
Right. Being vocal about it.
Yeah.
Right. Because it does. It really, like
Manifest.
it does. It manifests your destiny. I really believe that.
My
Yep.
old therapist used to say that vampires can only come into your house unless you invite them in. Like that's like the legend of vampires. So if you don't let those negative thoughts in, if you don't let the excuses come in, you got to let them. You can't say, "Hey, you got to close the door on them. Don't let them in." Because as soon as they're
Yeah.
in the house, my excuses, my mind will run rampant as soon as I open the door up. So I gotta, they're not invited in. The vampires aren't
Yeah.
allowed inside.
I'm not downplaying anybody's life or experience
Hmm.
or what they're going through, but I really feel that the suicide rate is so high the way it is because of how much we dwell on it, how much we talk about it, and not giving people the skills and the
Coping mechanisms.
coping mechanism exactly, or something to like see that it doesn't have to be that way. There's other people that have experienced this too. So I really think there's a lot of relevancy to the fact that we talk about it so much that it kind of becomes like, okay,
Hmm.
yeah, I am depressed. Are you though? Is there a way out of that? There really is, and guys like me have been there. I'm not talking from non-experience. I've experienced that. Like I said, like I was in a very dark time in my life at one point, and I decided that it wasn't going to happen anymore. It wasn't going to be that way. Um, so you know, I think it's important to reach out to those, to be the one that helps people out of that pit,
Mm.
out of that dark pit. You
Amen.
know?
That's important,
Well,
man.
and Matt, thank you
I
for
got
coming
one
on,
more
brother.
story
Oh,
for you.
go ahead, brother.
Yeah.
So when I was in flight school, my stick buddy, anytime he'll make a mistake, he'll verbally say, "What the fuck? Oh man, you're such a fucking idiot. Oh damn, that's just suck. What the? How could I think that?" In real time, he was kicking his own ass, like, right? But he was saying it out loud, and I would hear these things. I'll be like, "Yo, that's fucked up." That's the way I talk to myself. But I don't say those things out loud. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
keep that shit to myself. And you
Yeah.
would never know that I'm kicking my own ass because I'm internalizing everything. But I'm also internalizing, I'm kicking my own ass, but I'm seeking solutions. I was like, okay, that was dumb. Okay, let's see how we could fucking rectify this. Let's see what we can do. Let's see how we can maneuver. But I was like, man, I would never want to speak out loud the words that I'm a piece of shit, or what a dumb motherfucker I am. Like I would never
It's
say
true.
those things out loud because then you start to believe that shit. That shit starts to creep in,
It's true. It
So
matters. It matters.
this was years ago. This was back in 2012 when I went to fly school, and I was like, man, I'm never doing that.
Here's a quick
Yeah, that's good.
last little question for you guys. So
Yeah.
let's say you make a mistake. Let's say you make something goes bad. How do you like instantly stop that voice? Or because for me, if I make one mistake, I'm so obsessed with that one mistake, it leads to another mistake, and then that mistake, it's like an avalanche, and I just
Exactly,
spiral. How do
I'm
you
exactly.
not,
make a mistake, stop
Knowing
it,
that,
and then revert back?
yeah. So, I'm not perfect. I get hyped up sometimes, but I'm always able to bring myself back to level and take a bigger picture of it and see what I can do to fix the situation instead of freaking out about, okay, oh dang, I messed up here, because while you're paying attention to that one mess up there, and something else is happening over here. Instead of stepping back and saying, okay, all right, let's take a look at this. Let's break this down. Let's figure out how we can address this and make the best out of the situation. Um, Sometimes that uh, the spur of the moment situations are a little different, but that has come from my experiences with the classes like Smoke Diver, of being able to keep myself level. You ever heard the saying, slow is smooth, smooth is fast?
100%.
That's not really talking about your physical movement. It's talking about your mind.
Mm,
When your mind is able to slow down, you're smoother. Think about it. Those guys, and you're faster because your mind is playing it in a slower motion. And over time, that becomes like so natural to you that your slow motion is everybody's like normal pace or even more.
Mm-hmm.
The more you push it, the faster that gets. That's just been my experience through what I've learned in these classes and how I've been able to take my mentality and kind of build on that in that respect.
If I could give you a visual, you ever seen those scary movies and where someone's trying to fumble fuck the doorknob with a key and they can't get it into the slot or whatnot because
They
and
always die,
5,
man.
10 seconds passes. Or if
Right.
you just slow it down, put the key in the key slot, turn the key, you'll go into the room,
Yep,
right?
Yeah.
That's another good point, and I'm now just realizing that what I try and do is purposeful movements. Purposeful movements add to that slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Right.
And what I mean by that is you've practiced those skills so many times, and you've been able to do it with a mentality of slow is smooth, smooth is fast, that you're able to do the movements quicker, more seamlessly, more flawlessly over time. And that doesn't always obviously stand true, but for the most part you can achieve that by you've been able to, you've put your key how many times into your door, right? But if you're panicked and you've done it so many times and you've got a calm mental state, that would never be an issue of getting that key in the door.
Correct.
And
it's that's just an example, right?
Yep. No, it's good.
Good.
Maintaining composure under duress. I harp it. I say it all the time. Composure under duress. That's why I get to that point where like, okay, I'm fucked up. I gotta think clearly. I gotta slow things down. When I was in flight school, and again, flight school is such a impressive moment in my life. Again, not going back to where I came from. It was either flight school, either I propel this way. It was the fork in the road. Either I go to flight school or I go somewhere else, but I'm not going back there. I'm not going back where I came from. It was, you have an emergency. They simulated the motor, the engine's on fire. What do you do? What do you do is referring to your 5 seconds. Stop, look to your left, look to your right, make sure you're still flying. Now conduct your emergency procedures. Now you can proceed forward and put the fire out, maintain control of the aircraft, make sure the souls on board are still there, they're good, right? You got to maintain control of the aircraft at all times. So is that slowing thing, being able to slow things down and take a step back and look at the bigger picture, right? Okay, what light is on? Light, engine fire on, or systems are they're still in the green.
He can still see the board. He can still see the. He can still see the.
Yeah, it's stuff like that, right? Stuff like that.
Same thing. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
bro,
Magee, we won't keep you too long, brother.
I really appreciate your time, man. Mad respect to you. The older I get, the more I value time. It's funny. It's kind of weird. So it just speaks to like the amount of respect you have, for giving us your time.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. We appreciate you, brother.
So, to all the viewers and listeners out there, the Uncivil Mentality Podcast, thank you for joining us. On behalf of myself, Erik Vidal.
And I'm Reilly Kilbride. Get after it. Get in your gear. Start f***ing training. It can never be enough.